Welcome and thank you to all for joining us today. I'm Chuck Moran, this year's chairman of the CFP Board of Directors. Last year, CFP Board undertook a feasibility study to determine the merit of a public awareness campaign to increase awareness of CFP professionals. Input from the CFP professional community, and I think probably a number of you, was an integral part of that study. And many of you on the call participated in these surveys that we conducted as part of that study. In November 2010, the Board of Directors reviewed the results of the feasibility study and unanimously approved a resolution directing CFP Board to move forward with a coordinated and targeted public awareness campaign. Today, not quite 6 months after that resolution, I'm very pleased to be here with CFP Board's CEO, Kevin Keller, and with CFP Board's Managing Director of Marketing and Business Development, Tom Crowder, to share with you the campaign that will soon be reaching the public in all parts of the country. I'm going to push the slide forward. During today's webinar, we'll cover first the campaign's objectives, then the research behind the campaign, the creative elements of the campaign, which I think you'll find fun, the media that will carry the campaign's messages, and the plan for measuring the campaign's effectiveness. We'll also have some time to answer questions from the audience. You're invited to use the question and answer function on your screen to submit your questions at any time during the program. We've already had a lot submitted, and the ones we don't get to, we will come back to you on. If you experience issues with the audio for this presentation, or if it appears that the slides displayed don't match up with what we're speaking about, try refreshing your webinar console if you're on a PC keyboard with F5, and if you're using a Mac with Command R. Next slide. I want to start off with CFP Board's mission to benefit the public by granting the CFP certification and upholding it as the recognized standard of excellence for competent and ethical financial planning. CFP Board's public awareness campaign stems from the second part of the mission to uphold the certification as the recognized standard of excellence. Over the years, we've done a good job of establishing high standards for the CFP certification, which has resulted in its prominent standing within the financial services industry. The number of CFP professionals in the United States is nearing 63,000 and continues to grow. But the value of CFP certification also depends on the public recognizing what the CFP certification represents and why they should seek out financial planners who have attained it. Can we move the slide? So this campaign is focused on the public. Specifically, the objective we've set for this campaign is to increase public awareness of preference for and intent to use certified financial planner professionals. Let me turn things over to Kevin to provide some background and to lead the background that led to our decision to introduce the public awareness campaign and help shape the messages for this campaign.
Chuck, thank you very much. As Chuck said, our primary goal is to increase awareness, and there's a real reason to do that. Our awareness in a population of consumers that we surveyed last fall who have 100,000 plus in investable assets is around 46%, and familiarity is low. Only about 11% of the consumers in that group consider themselves very familiar with CFP professionals. 21% are somewhat familiar, and 14% only know the name. The good news, though, is that when prospective clients do become familiar, they are much more likely to want to seek out a CFP professional. Here you can see in our quantitative research that the percent of consumers who are extremely or very likely to consider a CFP professional in the next 2 years increases by a full 10 points from 14% to 24% after seeing messages about CFP certification. Similarly, the percent of consumers who say a CFP professional is for someone like me, which is really a proxy as we see it for preference for CFP, increases 20 points from 32% to 52% after seeing messages about CFP certification. So there's a real opportunity when we tell consumers more about what a CFP professional is and why they should want one. In advertising, it's always best to concentrate on one key theme that resonates with the target audience. That's the way to have the most impact. When you have as much to say as we do, one core theme is sometimes hard to settle on. So we used our consumer research to identify the messages that most influenced consumers to be more likely to seek out a certified financial planner professional. I know when I was on the road with our certificate connections and I asked what CFP professionals thought was most compelling, there was really no consensus. In our research, we exposed consumers to a lot of messages to see which ones had the most impact. We exposed them to messages about the requirements, like the 4 E's of CFP certification. And we also exposed them to 9 other positioning statements to figure out what had the most influence on various consumers. We used statements like, working with a CFP professional makes you feel confident that you're getting competent and credible advice, and 8 other statements. Our research not only looked at the appeal of an individual message, but also which combination of messages provided the greatest shift in consumer perceptions. Here's what we found. The maximum shift in consumer perceptions happens when consumers see message focused on comprehensive evaluations and planning focus. Secondarily, an ethics message helps even more influence. All the other aspects of certification are also important, the education, the experience, and so on, but they won't get us as far as concentrating on comprehensive evaluations and planning focus. The combination of those 2 key messages, along with an ethics message, influences 57% of prospects to say they are much more interested in working with a CFP professional. So, back to what is the one theme that most resonates with our target audience. Our one theme needed to come out of these 3 messages that influenced prospective clients. You can see the rank order of their level of influence in the size of the circles represented here. In focus group discussions with our target consumers, it became clear that prospective clients think they're doing a pretty good job with the individual elements of their finances. But when you ask them about the big picture, about how all of these things were working together, that's when doubt creeps in. The big picture is what they want help with, and that corresponds directly with the comprehensive evaluation and planning focus messages that resonated in our quantitative research. All of this led us to our positioning statement, and that is that if you need your whole financial life pulled together, a certified financial planner professional is uniquely qualified to help. This is the strategy statement that incorporates the messages that most influence prospective clients into a singular theme. It's also something that we can own. It's unique to certified financial planner professionals, and even if a CFP professional is focusing on only one aspect of a client's finances, they are more qualified than anyone to consider that aspect in the context of a client's whole financial well-being. This is a strategy statement that we gave the creative team at the agency that worked on our account. Now, you will not see this exact statement in any of the advertisement, but I think when we show you the creative in just a few moments, you'll see that concept coming through. So it's at this point I will turn the floor over to Tom Crowder. Tom is our Managing Director of Marketing and Business Development, and it was he and his team who worked with the staff to help and the agency to prepare the campaign that we're about to show you.
Okay, as Kevin mentioned, our positioning statement is what drove development of our campaign, and it came directly out of our consumer research. It's what most influences consumers, but obviously that's not all that went into our campaign development. While we have a good-sized budget, it's really dwarfed by the budgets of the key advertisers in the financial space. And for that reason, whatever we say needs to stand out of the clutter of their advertising and other advertising and the editorial that it'll be surrounded by. So, if you think about it, if you take a look at financial advertising on TV, online, and in magazines, there's a lot of sameness to it. It's very type-heavy, a lot of it. Some of it has no visuals at all, just a headline. It often features a talking head or a slice-of-life kind of approach where you've got real-looking consumers talking about their finances, and we really can't afford to blend into that kind of background that everybody else is using. So given our budget, our strategy in working with our partner, Arnold Worldwide, was to develop an attention-getting graphic approach that will set us apart. If you know them, the poster for Broadway's Wicked and the early iPod commercials with the silhouetted figures dancing against brightly colored backgrounds served as the graphic inspiration for our campaign. There's really nothing else in the market like it in the financial space, and we feel like it'll help us break through the clutter. I hope you'll agree that our campaign is very distinctive and it looks like no other. More importantly, you should know that we tested our campaign with consumers and it was well received. But I'll tell you more about that in a minute. Let me just share the campaign with you first. The theme of the campaign, as well as the web address for our campaign microsite, is Let's Make a Plan. Let's Make a Plan tested really well with consumers. It suggests a financial planning process that is something prospective clients can participate in without giving up control. And many consumers in our focus group mentioned that they worried about working with a financial advisor planner where they would lose control of their finances. It also communicates a team approach. It's action-oriented and it's optimistic. So now we'll take a look at how we play that across all of our various media. Keep in mind as you view the campaign that our strategy is to communicate our position statement, which is if you need your whole financial life pulled together, a certified financial planner professional is uniquely qualified to help. So first we're going to look at our TV spot. You'll see it once, and it will repeat so you have a chance to see it again. I should note that this spot is webinar quality, not TV quality, and the spot will produce much better on TV screens. It's a little bit squished on the sides horizontally and pulled up vertically in this format. Finally, you may or may not have about a 10-second pause after the end of the spot when it repeats the second time, depending on your download speed, but just hold on and we'll come back to you in a moment. So with that, we're going to share the TV spot with you now.
Your finances can't manage themselves, but that doesn't mean they won't try. Bring all your finances together with the help of the one person who can, a certified financial planner professional, CFP. Let's make a plan. Your finances can't manage themselves, but that doesn't mean they won't try. Bring all your finances together with the help of the one person who can, a certified financial planner professional, CFP. Let's make a plan.
Okay, that's our TV spot, which you'll start to see next Monday. Our print advertising takes a similar distinctive graphic approach. This is our marionette ad. It shows a puppet on strings, and the headline says, "You can let your finances pull you in every direction, or you can decide to do the pulling for a change." The copy reads, "Working with a certified financial planner professional is your first step. From budgets, estate planning, and investments to taxes, insurance, and real estate, a CFP professional is uniquely qualified to help pull all your finances together. And being board certified, they're ethically required to look out for your interests above their own. To find the right CFP professional for you, call the 800 number or visit letsmakeaplan.org. And then pulling back just to share the whole ad again with you. This will be the first print ad that is in market now. In some publications, there may issues that are on stands now. The next print ad in market will be this ad. The headline reads, if an army of bankers, brokers, accountants, and insurance agents and advisors can't bring your finances together, perhaps what you need is a general. And the copy reads, taxes, investments, real estate, insurance, estate planning, even household budgeting. If you've been looking for someone to help manage them all, look no further than the Certified Financial Planner certification. Ethically bound to put your needs above their own, CFP professionals can help coordinate all your finances. To find the right CFP professional for you, call the 800 number or visit letsmakeaplan.org. And just to share the whole ad with you again, the headline is, if an army of bankers, brokers, accountants, insurance agents, and advisors can't bring your finances together, perhaps what you need is a general. Okay, to move on to our online media buy, which is actually the bulk of our buy, banner ads are really only part of the online presence. We'll also be using paid search and mobile banners and other vehicles. We'll have quite a few online banner ad executions, but for launch, we're going to share our first three. We're concentrating 2 of the 3 banners on pulling your finances together, and we're leading with ethics, our fiduciary standard, in the third. The beauty of online is we'll get real-time results back, and we can use those to guide development of the next set of online banners. The first online banner that you will see is a takeoff on our TV spot. It's called Drive and actually calls out for the viewer of the web page to drive the car in the flash banner. If the viewer puts their mouse over the banner, they can actually drive the car down the road until their finances come in and take over the wheel. The next banner you'll see, and that one will repeat again once. The next banner you'll see also uses interactivity, and it's called Flashlight. The first frame asks the viewer to look around, and if the viewer puts their mouse over the banner, they can control the flashlight and look around at different aspects of their finances before the flashlight takes on a life of its own and drives home the idea of pulling all your finances together. That will repeat again once, and then the third launch banner is a strong statement about our fiduciary standard. It gets right at the heart of the ethical concerns that many, many consumers mentioned in our research. So let's take a look at the online banner ads we're launching with. Again, each one will repeat once so you can see it again. There won't be any sound while you watch these, and you may or may not experience a pause after the last online banner finishes, depending on your download speed. We'll come back after the banners play, so just hang on. Okay, so that's a look at our creative that we'll be launching with. Let me also take you through our microsite. Our call to action is letsmakeaplan.com, and this is our microsite homepage. It says even if you have individual areas of your finances under control, it's important to have them pulled together. This microsite will have a CFP professional search function on every single page. Its goal is to take somebody down the funnel of why you need a plan, to starting planning, to choosing a certified financial planner professional, which is the search function. To keep the site fresh, you can see in the middle lower part of the homepage, we will have our social media content, which will update on a regular basis. It's the What's Being Said section. The Let's Make a Plan microsite will serve as our key consumer website, and it will link into CFP.net where consumers can get even more information. We'll also be updating CFP.net down the road. Each of the tabs along the top will take consumers into an area that will encourage them to look at the next tab and eventually to search for a CFP professional. So the first tab is Why You Need a Plan, which goes over the benefits of financial planning, the process, the types of financial advisors. The next tab goes into Starting a Plan, which covers why someone should choose a CFP professional and giving them information on how to get started, like how to set financial goals. The third tab is Choose a CFP professional, which leads right into the search function. The search function, of course, is also on every single page. So that's a quick look at the microsite. As I mentioned earlier, we tested our campaign with consumers, and I'd like to tell you a little bit about more about that now. The good news is consumers got it. The Let's Make a Plan tagline and theme were very well received. Consumer takeaway for the ads matched our strategy statement. So the message we wanted to communicate, the one that was most likely to influence whether consumers are more likely to seek out a certified financial planner professional, was the one that consumers repeated back. It's also important that our messages resonated. Consumers felt like they didn't have anyone helping them pull all their finances together in their life right now. And they really wanted somebody to help them look at the big picture and how all their finances work together. So that's all very good news. Now the task is to get the message and the advertising to the people most likely to be influenced by it. And that's where media planning and buying comes in. And with our media plan, we intend to hit the bullseye. To make the most of the money we spend, we want to reach the people most likely to seek out a certified financial planner professional. To do this, we looked at both demographics and psychographics, or a mindset of the target. On the demographic side, we're targeting 35 to 64-year-olds with investable assets of $100,000 to $1 million, but we'll also have spill against prospective clients with more than $1 million in investable assets and against clients who are older and younger. Our investable asset range that we're targeting, the $100,000 to $1 million, fits really well with the typical client of most CFP professionals. In fact, 73% of CFP professionals say most new clients fall into the $100,000 to $1 million asset range. And the median level of investable assets for a typical CFP professional client is $500,000. So beyond the demographics we just covered, the likelihood that someone would want to work with a financial planner really didn't vary further demographically. It was, however, influenced greatly by mindset, specifically a mindset as defined by a set of attitudes determined from our research. The attitudes that were most predictive actually make a lot of sense when you think about it. The best prospects for us are people who trust experts. They prefer to work as part of a team. They are extremely responsible and practical. So as an example, they feel like they need to plan for their future instead of leaving it to chance or to Social Security. They think managing their finances is complex and time-consuming, so they want help on it. And there are a number of other attributes just like this that we use to make up our own custom mindset. There is a group of about 10 to 15 questions that form the group that is most likely to seek out a certified financial planner professional. So we call this custom target the Mass Affluent Initiator group. We call it that because this group tends to be proactive and it's a good handle for the group. But we're not only targeting them in our creative that you saw, we're also targeting them in our media. We took our mindset questions, those 10 or 15 questions that I mentioned, and we lined them up with virtually similar questions that are asked by a very large syndicated research company called Simmons Market Research Bureau. Simmons surveys thousands of consumers all the time and asks them about their purchase habits, their media consumption habits, their attitudes. So what we did was match up the attitude statements that make up our target, cross-tab that with their media use. So we were able to select the specific media vehicles, the networks, and the magazines most likely to be used by the Mass Affluent Initiator target. As I mentioned earlier, we have a limited budget, but it's important, and it's even more important to target in on an audience we can have an impact with. So let me tell you a little bit more about the size of the Mass Affluent Initiator target and how it compares to the total U.S. population. The entire U.S. population, 18-plus adults, is about 223 million. Within that, the mass affluent consumers are about 12% of the U.S. population, and within that group, the Mass Affluent Initiator target is about 9%. When you overlay the demographics on those psychographics, our 35 to 64 age target, the size of the group comes to 14 million, or 6% of the U.S. adult population. And that's the target we're buying our media against. It's important to note that we'll reach many more customers than are just in that target, but this is the group that we're going to have the most impact with, and it's what we're concentrating our efforts with media-wise. So with that, let's take a look at the media mix. After analyzing the media habits of our target and using the media tools that our media agency has developed, our media agency MPG, we determined that the optimal message mix for our budget and target was a mix of online, national cable TV, and print. Our primary medium is going to be online. That'll be followed by TV and then by print. And this corresponds to how our target consumes media and how we can best increase awareness. Each of the media vehicles chosen were bought based on their reach against our Mass Affluent Initiator target audience. And here you can see our TV networks that are in the buy. These are the TV networks most likely to be watched by our target, and it's a combination of entertainment and lifestyle networks as well as news networks. TV ads on all of these networks will be kicking off on Monday. That's travel, HGTV, ESPN, History, CNN, Fox News, and MSNBC. We'll have a mix of primetime, early morning, and weekday day parts with differing mixes for entertainment and news. Most of the entertainment and lifestyle networks will be in prime, and in fact, 64% of our TV buy will be in prime time. That's a very high level. We did a great job, I think, in our media negotiation on the TV buy. So for someone like us with a similar target, a similar client might expect to get 40 to 55% prime, but we've gotten 64%, which is great for our campaign. On the print side, we're going to be concentrating in financial publications. These are the magazines and the newspaper, which is the Wall Street Journal. We're going to be 8 times in the Wall Street Journal weekend section. We're going to be on the front of the money and investing cover for all but one of those ads. We're going to be 5 times in Smart Money in the plan section, which covers the best practices in planning. In Kiplinger's, we're going to be in it 8 times, where we're going to get several premium placements, including an inside front cover and inside back cover. And Money Magazine will be in 7 times in or near the financial fix column. And then in Barron's, we'll be in 1 time adjacent to the top 100 financial advisors cover story. And moving on to online, which is our number 1 medium, these are the online media properties that we are going to be using. These are selected based on their proximity to our Mass Affluent Initiator audience. And we not only looked at that target, but also at the characteristics of the visitors to these sites. We wanted people who had already accessed financial information on these sites or other sites. So that's who is going to be served up the advertising from our campaign, people that have already been on financial-related editorial or content. Some of the names here you may not recognize, Adnetic, Martini. These are actually online media networks. We're buying these because they have very similar targets to our Mass Affluent Initiator target, and on an online ad network, you will be displayed on hundreds of websites that are in that network, all with the same custom or targeting at that's very similar to the Mass Affluent Initiator target. So across all of our media, we'll be kicking off with a quarter of television to give us a good, strong start, and then we're going to have continuous support from print and online throughout the rest of the year. In total, our media buy will deliver over 200 million impressions, and we will reach 80% of our target audience over the course of the year. So that's a review of the media that we'll be purchasing for the campaign, and that brings us back to our measures of success. How will we measure whether this effort is successful? We'll be watching a lot of measures on a regular basis, like hits to the microsite, calls from print ads, and other campaign-level metrics. But our key metric for success is going to be increased awareness. The chart you see here is from our research study last fall, which was not defined down to the mass affluent initiator target. We're going to be conducting and have been conducting a new study for the mass affluent initiator that was conducted over the last few weeks, and that'll be our baseline for the campaign. Against that, we'll measure then our progress, and the next time we'll be in market will be about a year from now, where we'll be looking at amongst the same group awareness levels and expecting to see an increase. Raising awareness is not a short-term initiative, especially at our budget level. That's why it makes sense to look at it on an annual basis. But with that said, we do expect to see increases, and we'll be watching to make sure that we do. And before we get into question and answers, I wanted to share one more campaign element with you before we close out, and that is a new certification mark. As part of our effort to break through the clutter and set CFP certification apart, we're introducing this certification mark that you may have noticed as we went through the advertising that I just shared. This is not replacing any of the other certification marks you may currently be using, and in fact, it will become a new part of the family of images we call the marks. The use guidelines for this new mark will be the same as for the flame logo in the bottom right-hand corner of this page, and we'll provide the use guidelines for it in an online toolkit that we've developed to help you extend the message of the public awareness campaign. So the online toolkit contains artwork and guidelines for the new certification mark, but it'll also include some of the research that we use to develop our campaign that you can access. We have artwork for many of our advertisements that you've seen here today. You can adapt those to your own uses, add your own copy and your own contact information. We've posted our advertising schedule on the toolkit. We've put up links to our current brochures that we'll be updating over time, and links to where you can update your information for our CFP search, CFP professional search, and we'll be adding other materials and updates later. So come back and visit the toolkit from time to time, and you can see what we've added. So this is what the toolkit looks like when you get there. You can access it at cfp.net/toolkit. I strongly encourage you to go there and look through the materials. I think you'll agree that it's a really rich resource for you, and you can use that to help extend the message. A really important thing to note before we close out for question and answers is please make sure you're listed in our search functionality. As I mentioned, there is a CFP search function on every page of our Let's Make a Plan microsite. Make sure you show up in the results. You should be in the search if you provided information to us about your business, indicated you are a practicing CFP professional, and that you're accepting new clients. It's important to note that we're adding an advanced search option, and we need your input for that as well. So you'll show up when prospective clients use this new feature. So here's how you can update your record. You go to cfp.net/login. Once you get through the login, click on Update Your Profile link that's in the upper right-hand corner of the page. It's circled here. And I encourage you to go on the microsite itself and search for yourself to make sure that you're showing up. But the place to enter your information is Update Your Profile under cfp.net/login. And with that, I'm going to open it up to questions and answers, and we'll take as many questions as we have time for as part of this session. And if we don't get to your particular question in time, we plan on getting back to you in email.
Great. Thank you very much. That has been Tom Crowder, CFP Board's Managing Director of Marketing and Business Development, sharing plans about our public awareness campaign that will launch on Monday, the 18th of April. Well, Tom, we've had a number of questions that have been coming in, and so why don't we just dive right in, and we'll as you said, we'll answer as many of the questions as we can. One person writes, I've already gone to letsmakeaplan.org and could not find my name. How do we ensure that our name is on this website?
Yeah, please go on to cfp.net/login, click that update your profile, as I just showed, I think, on the last slide. And in there, update your information. On the Let's Make a Plan website, it's important to note that only those that say they are practitioners are listed in that search function. So you need to say that you are a practitioner.
Tom, a couple of questions along the same vein, and it was an issue that came up when I was on the road. One person asked, can we use the new ad campaign in a personal phone book as long as they're a CFP, and can we list any of the creative on our business website? And so the answer to that is clearly yes.
So please go to the toolkit, cfp.net/toolkit. All of those materials on there are for your use. You can adapt them for your use. I would suggest getting a local graphics firm or something to help you out. You can also download the online banners and alter that code to help us extend our message. So yes, all of those things can be used by you in any way that you see fit.
That's clearly the case. I would also encourage you, when you go to the toolkit, to really pull that research down, because it's research that CFP Board did as part of the campaign. It's clearly, I think, a valuable asset, and I would encourage CFP professionals to take a look at that. Tom, we had a question about the geographic area of the survey for the consumer research. Could you speak to that?
Sure. I know we've also had some questions I'm seeing come in from people in rural markets, somebody in Bowling Green, Kentucky, I see. Also, somebody else saying, will this impact me in a relatively rural area? So our advertising is national. So we have placed national buys for all media, and that's so our campaign will cover all CFP professionals. So I guess the short answer is yes, the public awareness campaign will reach prospective clients in your area as long as you have access to television signal, the U.S. mail for magazines, and the internet. So everybody is covered. Certainly,
we're buying no local media,
right,
essentially.
Right. Also important to note that our PR efforts are going to be national as well.
I think the specific question was more around the geographic area of the people who were surveyed for the consumers. So thank you for answering those other two questions. But when we look at a panel of consumers, how is that drawn?
All of our quantitative research was on a nationwide basis, so that should have been a snapshot of the American public within parameters of we were looking at those with 100,000 plus in investable assets.
There was a bullet point referring to the brand new certification mark logo. When will we have to incorporate this new logo into our business cards, et cetera? How long can we use the previously accepted flame logo on our business cards and stationery, et cetera? And another person asks, will the CFP Board gold logo, or will the CFP gold logo replace the flame logo?
So the new gold plate logo is a new part of the marks family. So there is no requirement to stop using the old marks. This is going to be part of the new family. We will be using it in our advertising and communication efforts, but you can continue to use the flame mark or any of the other approved marks in any kind of materials that you have for your business.
But our campaign, this campaign, will rely exclusively on the gold bar logo.
That's right.
Somebody asked, is this campaign or is this presentation being recorded? And the answer to that is yes. And do we know when it will be posted, Tom?
It should be posted on our website in a couple of days.
So by early next week?
Sometime next week, that's right.
One of our listeners wrote in a question, if this campaign works, would CFP Board consider raising our fees by another $300? If so, this would give us another $15 million to grow the campaign. That was not a setup, but look, the Board of Directors has been very clear about this, They made a 4-year commitment in November when they passed the resolution for this initiative, and said that at the end of 2 years they would go back and look again. But again, building awareness in a market as big as financial services is a significant undertaking. So it's not something that's going to happen overnight. I know, having been out on the road, that there are different points of view, but the majority of the people I've talked to have been very supportive. So we'll see where we go with the initial work. Will the TV spots be posted on YouTube for additional market penetration?
Yes, we have a YouTube channel, so we will have the spot up on YouTube. We will also have access to the spot on the toolkit, cfp.net/toolkit. The TV spot will go up at 3 p.m. today, Eastern Time.
Yeah, so in about 18 minutes we will have that up and live. What can CFP Board do to help those of us who are captured agents of insurance and investment firms who are required to have everything we do in marketing approved by our compliance departments? Could materials the CFP Board develops be forwarded to companies in advance so they could do their compliance reviews and thereby provide a folio of approved CFP assets and marketing pieces?
Yeah, we actually are reaching out to many large firms at the corporate level to do just that. If you want to make sure that we're reaching out to your firm, please send us an email at mail@cfpboard.org. That's mail@cfpboard.org, and let us know the contact information for the key corporate contact in your compliance department. And I would just suggest putting in the subject something like compliance department contact for firm approval of materials, something like that.
Tom, we had a question come in. How can we promote CFP certification locally and with co-op opportunities?
We're pretty much spending all of our media dollars in the national media vehicles that I mentioned, because these are the ones that are most likely to reach our mass affluent initiator target. And that covers both the top markets and the rural areas, so it's important to have the national coverage, which is what we're looking for out of this budget, so that everyone is covered. So while we don't have the co-op media dollars available, we do encourage everybody who wants to help extend the message by using the materials in the toolkit. In the toolkit, you'll find the print advertising, the online, and you can customize those for your own message and information to help us get out the message. These materials are free of charge other than the brochures if you're going to order quantities of brochures, and those can be ordered through our website. And within the next few months also, I should note, we're going to have available an online store which will contain CFP-branded promotional items which you can purchase and distribute to clients, potential clients, or any other purpose that you might have.
Here's a question that comes from somebody from an FPA chapter. Previously, Mr. Keller talked, that would be me, I think. Previously, Kevin talked about money will be made available to FPA chapters as part of this campaign. Is it possible to get clarification on that? That is the case. I presented the concept of CFP Board setting aside a part of our budget to help FPA chapters extend the public awareness campaign in their local region. I presented the idea of this chapter challenge at the Chapter Leaders Conference last fall. What we really envisioned was chapters submitting to us ideas about how they could best extend the campaign in their local areas, and then we would take the best of those ideas and help fund that. CFP Board submitted this framework to FPA National, and they got back to us with an alternate plan, and it was their preferred method that CFP Board and FPA host meetings of members and CFP professionals along with local attorneys and CPAs where the public awareness campaign, among other topics, could be discussed. So based on their preferred strategy, FPA's preferred strategy, CFP Board will be testing 3 of these meetings with FPA chapters this fall and measuring our results for consideration of further rollout of that program. We have a couple questions on funding. These are a little bit in contrast to the person who wanted us to raise the fees by $300 more a year. We're getting a couple questions. One, please explain the need for the large increase in fees to maintain the CFP credential, and please review the cost to be charged to each certificant, the annual cost. The idea for the public awareness campaign came from the CFP professional community through certificate connections. I am out on the road at least 12 to 18 times a year, and I kept hearing the CFP community expressing a desire for more brand building activity. Our surveys showed that an overwhelming majority believe a campaign is needed, and also a sizable majority said they would be willing to pay an additional $12 a month to support it. It's also part of our mission, as we highlighted, as Chuck did at the beginning of this presentation, to uphold CFP certification as a recognized symbol of excellence. So here's how this will work. What the board of directors did is they looked at the importance of this campaign. The board of directors committed essentially the first year's funding of the campaign out of our reserves. So $9.3 million is the first year commitment, and we will take that out of reserves. Effective July 1st, new certification as well as renewal fees will be billed annually as opposed to biannually. As you know now, you pay $360 every 2 years to renew your certification. We've increased that fee by $12 a month, and the new fee beginning for those who renew on or after July 1st will be $325 each year.
And just to add, I wanted to clarify that CFP Board reserves was over the course of 2 years.
That's correct. It's essentially will be $7 million in 2011 and $2.3 million in 2012. So that's how the funding of this campaign will work. We've had a couple questions about how long. I think we may have addressed these, Tom, but let's look again. How long do you anticipate the marketing efforts to last? How many years will the increased fees and public awareness program last? And will this particular campaign be a one-time blitz, or is it going to be a regular full-court press? Why don't you take that last question first, Tom?
Okay. So I think awareness is a long-term kind of goal. It's also a long-term initiative. So we are looking at it in that light. The board of directors made the decision to fund an initial 4 years of a public awareness campaign last November. And after 2 years, the board will look at the results of the campaign and determine whether it should be continued. If the board decides to discontinue the campaign, the fees associated with the campaign will be discontinued, and assuming the campaign is successful, the campaign may be continued indefinitely as long as it's producing results. I like to use the analogy of the Biggest Loser. You can go on and lose a lot of weight, but if you go back to the same habits you had before, you will quickly gain it back. The same thing is true for awareness. You can increase your awareness, and if you stop, it's just a matter of time before your awareness goes down again. So it is something that does require a little feeding and care to stay high.
Let's see. The next question is, when it comes to awareness, the CFP Board should consider a more substantial diploma, which would likely be displayed by more practitioners. Tom, I think we are aware of that.
Yeah, in fact, that is, I think it's a common comment, and we are looking at, as part of our whole new brand identity, a new certificate that we'll design that will look much more impressive and much more in line with all of the effort that is put into and rigor that's put into getting the certification, and basically that makes it stand out like the gold standard that it is. So it's coming. It's not here today, but we are looking at that shortly.
What will you do to give more visibility on the CFP search function? I think that's really a function of the new consumer-facing site, letsmakeaplan.org. But can you talk about the other plans there as well?
Sure. The letsmakeaplan.org site that we looked at, and by the way, letsmakeaplan.com and some other suffixes will also lead you to the same site. That will have the search function on every single page, And then we also have, of course, the search function on CFP.net. CFP.net has the search function for all CFP professionals. On the letsmakeaplan.org, that search is for practitioners only because it's primarily consumers looking for a practicing certified financial planner professional.
Tom, we have a couple questions about the target market. One person observes that the target market excludes low income. Another asks, are you directing any of your ads at people who are not high net worth? High net worth financial planning is necessary for all individuals and families, and I know we couldn't agree more, but would you speak to that?
Sure. CFP Board has a number of initiatives that reach out to consumers who are not high net worth, and we're committed to carrying the message of financial planning to that audience as well. We have outreach programs like Financial Planning Days and our Consumer Advocate Program that reach that audience. And as far as our public awareness campaign goes, while our target is the mass affluent initiator, we will also reach a large number of consumers who are not high net worth. And similarly, we'll also reach a large number of consumers who have more than $1 million as well. But I think when you look at our advertising, there's no exclusive nature to it. There's nothing in it that would suggest I need a lot of money to do this. And so I think it is open to all.
A person asks, is the new gold logo meant to be used following your name on a business card or similar usage?
That we're going to have identity guidelines or use guidelines up in our toolkit, and it'll tell you the use guidelines. But in short, if your business card is a full color card, yes, absolutely, you can use the gold mark. We also have one color versions of the mark, which would be used if your business card is one or two flat colors. There's an alternative for you where you can use that for your business card if that works better for you as well.
A person asks, can we download any of the video banners to our own website? That's absolutely will be possible. Again, we would direct you to the toolkit, which is www.cfp.net/toolkit, and you can download the banners from there and put those right up on your website.
And the TV actually is going to be on YouTube, and just like almost any other YouTube video, you can embed that in your own web page, so that's another option for you.
And that'll be live at 3 o'clock Eastern Time, or in about 7 minutes. Tom, one of our listeners asked, did we take a survey to determine current public perception of CFPs, and are there plans to survey after the campaign to determine campaign effectiveness?
We mentioned that the key goal for the campaign is to increase awareness, but it's also to create preference and intent to use. So as part of our quantitative tracking study amongst consumers, we are asking them questions about what they know about certified financial planners. A lot of those are image-related questions, and we will monitor the difference of those over time and would expect those to become more and more positive.
A person asks, as a new CFP professional, can I design a local ad campaign to dovetail along with the national campaign, again, made along the same line? And the answer is absolutely.
In the toolkit.
The toolkit. How will referrals be distributed when people go to letsmakeaplan.org?
So CFP Board search, the search that's on letsmakeaplan.org, it functions to connect consumers directly with CFP professionals. So if you go search in your zip code, a list of CFP professionals will come up depending on where you are, how long the list is, but the entire list will come up. And the contact information for each CFP professional as provided to us is listed there. So consumers will be reaching out directly to you. We will not be a conduit or any kind of bottleneck in that regard. So you actually may want to start asking your new clients or prospective clients where they found your information, and hopefully some of them will have found you through the search function.
Is there a public service component, a person asked, to this campaign? I think the whole public awareness campaign is a public service message because it gives consumers a place to go for competent and ethical financial planning. Beyond that, CFP Board is committed to serving the public in other ways. One example is through our Financial Planning Days, which we use volunteer public service support. But we're involved in a number of initiatives that focus much more broadly on various segments of the population. Tom, here's another question. What are the ways in which we can actively participate in the Public Awareness Campaign Speakers Bureau? Are we planning to tie the campaign in with Financial Planning Week and the public events which local FPA chapters might be developing?
We're developing a variety of tools in the toolkit that can be used by individuals, firms, or FPA chapters. This includes customizable advertisements, press releases, talking points, and other tools, and we welcome any efforts to extend our campaign in your market. And the toolkit will help you in your promotional efforts surrounding Financial Planning Week or any other time of the year as well.
I had a question come in about the overall cost of the campaign. It is approximately $9 million a year, and as I said, $9.3 million will be funded from CFP Board reserves. We're almost out of time as we come up to the top of the hour. Maybe a couple of really quick questions. Tom, will we be notified of the time commercials are going to run in our area?
So cable networks says cable time, TV time is highly negotiable, so it's not always set in stone. We'll be sending out an email in the next couple of days with a specific schedule for the first 2 weeks of our TV flight, along with an overall schedule for the campaign. This will also be provided under the, quote, advertising schedule link in our toolkit. Just keep in mind that TV schedules are just that, they're schedules, they're not 100% guaranteed. Time slots are sometimes moved. If you don't see the spot where it's noted on the schedule, we'll be looking for a make good from that network.
Great. Well, we thank everybody for logging on. One final quick question. Is it possible to randomize the list of CFPs that show up in the search? The answer is yes. We realize that alphabetical is not the best way. It will be randomized very soon, and that's coming up. I'll leave you with CFP Board's mission, which is to benefit the public by granting CFP certification and upholding it as the recognized symbol of excellence. We believe strongly that this campaign goes a long way toward helping achieve that mission of CFP certification being recognized as the global symbol of excellence. Have a great day, everybody, and thank you for joining in.